wins in 2024 alone. 2 major championships, the FedEx Cup title, over $62 million in career earnings. He's been so consistently excellent, so mentally unshakable, that the golf world started treating his dominance as inevitable and boring. Scottie shows up, Scottie wins, Scottie collects another check. That was the narrative. That was the expectation. That was the $20 million pressure cooker that nobody thought could possibly crack him. But Pebble Beach 2026 shattered that illusion completely. And the way it happened, the specific moments that broke him down, revealed cracks in Scheffler's armor that nobody knew existed. This wasn't just about bad shots or unlucky breaks. This was about a player visibly struggling under pressure in ways we've never seen from him before. Thursday started normally enough. Scheffler opened with a solid 68 3-under par, exactly the kind of steady professional golf that's defined his career. Nothing spectacular, nothing disastrous, just Scottie being Scottie. He was 4 shots off the lead, perfectly positioned to make a weekend move. Commentators praised his patience and course management. Analysts predicted he'd grind his way into contention by Sunday. Everything felt predictable and safe. Then came Friday, and the wheels started coming off in slow motion. Scheffler's opening 9 holes were a disaster, 3 bogeys and only 1 birdie, leaving him 2 over for the day and suddenly flirting with the cut line. For a player who almost never misses cuts, who prides himself on consistency and mental toughness, this was already shocking. But what happened on the back 9 was where things got truly insane and revealed something nobody expected. The 14th hole at Pebble Beach, a short par 5 that's basically a guaranteed birdie opportunity for tour professionals, became the scene of Scheffler's complete meltdown. His tee shot found the fairway perfectly, leaving him just 220 yards to the green with a chance to get back under par and stabilize his round. This is the kind of situation Scheffler converts 90% of the time. Routine golf for the world's best player. But Scheffler's approach shot flew way right, sailing over the green and into thick rough that's almost impossible to escape from. The gallery went silent. Commentators started stumbling over their words, trying to explain what they'd just witnessed. And then things got worse. Scheffler's chip shot from the rough came out fat, barely advancing the ball 10 yards and leaving him still off the green with another difficult pitch ahead. What happened next is what has the entire golf world in absolute shock. Scheffler's caddy, Ted Scott, normally calm and professional, turned to his player and said something that cameras caught audio of. "You're not thinking clearly right now. Step back." That moment, that public acknowledgement from a caddy that his player was mentally compromised, has never been seen before at this level. Caddies don't call out their players on camera during tournaments. They support, they encourage, they problem solve quietly. But Scott's intervention was so direct and so public that it immediately went viral. Scheffler did step back, took 3 deep breaths that cameras zoomed in on, and eventually made bogey on the hole. But the damage was done. He finished Friday with a 74, 5 over par, and missed the cut at Pebble Beach for the first time in his career. The world's #1 player, the guy who'd been untouchable for 2 years, was going home early from one of golf's most prestigious events. The post-round interview was painful to watch. Scheffler looked exhausted, not physically, but mentally drained in a way nobody had seen from him before. When asked about the pressure of maintaining his #1 ranking and living up to enormous expectations week after week, Scheffler's response sent shockwaves through the golf community. "Sometimes the weight gets heavier than you want to admit," he said quietly. "You try to push through it, but today I couldn't. Today it won." That admission, that public vulnerability, from a player known for being mentally bulletproof, changed everything. That this wasn't just a bad week. This was Scottie Scheffler admitting that the pressure was affecting him, that the expectations were becoming unbearable, that even he had limits to what he could handle mentally. Golf analysts immediately started drawing comparisons to other dominant players who'd cracked under sustained pressure. Tiger Woods' struggles in the late 2000s, Rory McIlroy's repeated major championship collapses after his early success, Jordan Spieth's 2016 Masters meltdown that seemed to break something inside him for years. The pattern was terrifyingly clear. Sustained dominance creates unsustainable pressure, and eventually, even the strongest mental games crack under the weight. Behind the scenes, reports started leaking that Scheffler had been showing signs of strain for weeks before Pebble Beach. Multiple sources described him as more withdrawn in locker rooms, less engaged with other players, and visibly tense during practice rounds. One fellow pro, speaking anonymously, said Scottie looked like a guy carrying the world on his shoulders and nobody was allowed to help him put it down. The $20 million figure isn't arbitrary. That's roughly what Scheffler earned in 2024 between prize money, bonuses, and endorsements. But it's also the expectation that comes with being number one. Every tournament he enters, he's expected to contend. Every major championship, he's expected to win or at least be in the conversation on Sunday. Every shot is analyzed, every decision questioned, every moment scrutinized by millions of people who've decided that Scottie Scheffler being dominant is the new normal and anything less is failure. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. On Monday after Pebble Beach, Scheffler made a decision that shocked everyone and showed he's at least aware of the problem even if he doesn't know how to solve it yet. He withdrew from the next tournament on his schedule, citing the need for mental rest and time with family. For a player who almost never skips events, who prides himself on showing up and competing week after week, this was a massive red flag that something fundamental had shifted. The withdrawal sent the golf media into overdrive. Was Scheffler taking a smart break to reset mentally? Or was this the beginning of a longer spiral where the pressure had broken something that couldn't be easily fixed? Opinions were split dramatically. Some praised his self-awareness and willingness to prioritize mental health. Others worried this was the exact wrong move, that stepping away would only make coming back harder and increase the pressure when he did return. Scheffler's team released a statement saying he needed time to recharge and refocus, that the demands of maintaining his position at the top of the sport had been more draining than anticipated, and that he'd return when he felt mentally ready to compete at the level he expects from himself. The statement was professional and measured, but reading between the lines revealed something more concerning. Scheffler wasn't sure when he'd be ready to come back. This wasn't a scheduled week off. This was an open-ended break with no return date, which suggested the mental struggle was deeper than anyone outside his inner circle realized. Meanwhile, the golf world started asking uncomfortable questions about the modern game and whether the level of scrutiny and expectation placed on top players had become toxic and unsustainable. Social media amplifies every mistake. Data analytics expose every weakness. Constant television coverage means there's nowhere to hide. And the financial stakes, with tens of millions of dollars on the line every season, create pressure that previous generations of golfers never experienced. Some analysts argued that Scheffler's struggle was inevitable given the impossible standards he'd set for himself. When you win 8 times in a season, anything less the next year feels like failure, even if it would be the best year of most players' careers. When you're expected to contend in every major, finishing 10th feels like disaster, even though it's objectively excellent. The bar had been set so high that Scheffler had no room for being human, for having off weeks, for struggling occasionally like every other player on tour. What makes this situation so fascinating and terrifying is that nobody knows how it ends. Does Scheffler take his break, reset mentally, and come back stronger than ever, proving that even the best players need to acknowledge their limits and take care of their mental health? Or does this become the moment everyone points to later as the beginning of the end of his dominance, the crack that couldn't be repaired, the pressure that finally broke golf?
Was because we loved the sport.
Absolutely.
We never played it for money.
Absolutely.
This wasn't just about money. It was about something far more valuable, his reputation and his legacy. The verdict sent a clear message, correcting a narrative that had threatened to define him in the twilight of his life. A story built on lies, betrayal, and an attempt to silence the Golden Bear himself. It was a fight he refused to lose, and the way he fought back revealed a truth far more painful for his opponents than any financial loss. The saga that led to this dramatic moment had been simmering for years, a web of business disputes and personal grudges. It all began back in 2007 when Nicklaus sold the rights to his name, image, and his renowned golf course design business to a new entity, Nicklaus Companies, for $145 million. The deal was backed by billionaire banker Howard Milstein, and at the time, it seemed like a smart move, a way to secure his brand's future. But the relationship soured quickly. What started as a business partnership turned into a personal war. After stepping down as an executive in 2017, Nicklaus was bound by a 5-year non-compete clause. When that period expired in 2022 and Nicklaus tried to reclaim his independence, everything exploded. Nicklaus companies led by Milstein sued him in New York, accusing him of diverting business opportunities. But that was just the beginning of a much darker campaign, one aimed not only at his professional credibility, but at his character itself. At the heart of the attack were two vicious accusations designed to destroy his image completely. The first was a bombshell that Jack Nicklaus, a lifelong icon of the PGA Tour, had considered a $750 million offer to become the public face of the Saudi-funded LIV golf